So what we'll do is we'll just begin this. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, today's talk is going to be very introductory. It is just about giving you an idea about the comparison between a regular computer, regular laptop that you've been working on, and what is a parallel cluster, and how is a parallel cluster different, and what are you expected to do as an existing Unix adept person, or a little bit coding or better coding adept person also, what you will do to understand the parallel computing cluster. And on Monday morning, I'm hoping that we could all just straight away get, so today's logins are all the training portal logins. On Monday, we will give you logins to the high performance computer. Aaj training portal logins, if all of you have got the training portal login, which is just a test login, which means wahan se there's just one step to the HPC because you're already on the Phyto cluster. So from Phyto cluster, moving from Vyom to, as I've showed you here, to Mool, to Agni, Vriksha, everything is going to be very simple. But to come back again, this is an introduction to the high performance computing environment that we have at NIPGR. We are calling it the NIPGR Phyto cluster. High performance computing mostly refers to the practice of aggregating a lot of computer power in a way that delivers very high performance, even higher than what you could get on, in fact, much higher than what you could get out of a typical desktop computer or a workstation. Many of you have worked on workstations, I can believe that, because you are from computing labs. And NIPGR anyway is a genomics institute, so everybody has workstations in their labs. So I will assume that each of you has worked on a workstation for something or the other at some point of time. But to be able to get much higher performance, we do this in order to solve large problems in science, in engineering, business, or lots of other things. But for us, the science ke baad ka full stop is enough, because I believe all of us are here researchers and we want to use the HPC for research only. I will just again look at it for a few minutes. Koi bacha hai jiska connection nahi hua, because I believe this girl here, you've not connected also. So what we need is some kind of if you can put a little red mark on your, do we have post-its, Preeti and Mandeep and Renu? Do we have post-its? Can we bring some post-its from the lab? Because if they put a post-it, then even without speaking, if I see a post-it on your laptop, I know you have a problem. One of us will come to you and help you, while others can quietly continue the course. And during such a course, particularly a hands-on course, many people have problems. And when we see a little post-it chamakta on your this one, we'll know that you could not understand some step, and we will come and help you. And when your problem is solved, you just get your post-it down, and we know that this can be that you're sorted, and we can go to the next post-it and so on. So Renu, if we have two post-its, red and green, then we can have red for problems and green for yes. Quite often I'll be asking them questions ki ye kar liya ki nahi. So any two colors are great, but nahi mila to ek hi color, and that will be a problem color for most of us. Okay, so that is the beginning. Only thing is I'm not able to look at the online participants right now because I'm focusing to those people who are in the room most importantly. So I will expect either Sheikh or maybe Mandeep or somebody to look at the room or here only. यहाँ पे अगर आपको दिख जाए कि कोई chat पे question है तो मुझे याद दिला देना, and I will probably look at them. So let us start, of course, by comparing a computer, a local computer like the one you are all holding in your hands or on the tables in front of you, or to attend this little training, with the HPC. The first thing that you need to be able to compare and understand is that on the HPC, you have shared resources. Right now on your computer, there are no sharing of what you are doing. You're the only person using that computer. Even if there are other users, they're not using it right now, it's yours. So no sharing of CPUs, no sharing of RAM, no sharing of storage also. तुम चाहो तो अपने computer पे जितना चाहे सामान डाल सकते हो. On the HPC, you have to constantly remember that you are sharing the resources with somebody else, and therefore you have to be aware of what is available for you to use. और ये awareness कैसे आएगा? By checking restrictions किस तरह के हैं. हमने यहाँ पे कुछ restrictions डाल रखे हैं. There are no purchase options, but Amazon पे purchase options हैं. IBDC में भी purchase options हैं. In a lot of cases, a lot of HPCs, when they become successful, Cambridge में purchase options हैं. So purchase options come with time, and you have to see whether I want this purchase option or that. But right now for the NIPGR cluster, because we are more interested in getting feedback and getting people to use it, and wrapping our own heads around how to run a cluster in an institute with so many labs and so many researchers, we just want your feedback, and we want you to use it. तो पूरा का पूरा free है currently, but still there may be restrictions such as आप अपना runs कहाँ करोगे. फ्रीली हर एरिया में जाके नहीं कर सकते. अपने कंप्यूटर में तो आप जिस भी एरिया में लॉग इन करो, चाहे डॉक्यूमेंट्स में डालो चीज, चाहे डाउनलोड्स में, चाहे डेस्कटॉप पे, आपका मर्जी है. आई वुड सजेस्ट कि डेस्कटॉप पे ज्यादा मत भरा करो, लेकिन भर देते हैं हम लोग. सो दैट्स योर चॉइस बिकॉज इट्स योर मशीन. Here there are some restrictions and there will be some which I believe all of you should know about a high performance parallel computing system. Second difference, that is a mighty difference between an HPC and a local computer, is about admin rights. The admin rights are such that your PC, it will give you, agar aaj ki date pe suddenly you decide to install, Cytoscape, Microsoft Office, or any software, your PC will not stop you because you have the rights to put it. So you can install and uninstall software, and you can also make any changes you want to your system. But in an HPC, you have zilch, you have no admin rights, which means please don't even try to start installing software. If you want software, you have to tell me. And this is why I want you to prepare a list of software that you would want to use in a Phyto cluster. Now, some students may come and say, हम transcriptome करते हैं पूरा, हमें तो bow tie, fast QC, multi QC सब चाहिए. So tell me that. Where you might find that we already have it. But it is important to know, you're a structure biologist. You might come and say कि मुझे इस पे MD कराना है, मुझे इस पे Schrödinger का पूरा Discovery Studio चाहिए. So on Monday morning, I would love to hear from all of you what kind of softwares have you been using on your workstations, on your laptops and desktops, and would you like to have it on the parallel cluster? Because we can do it, but only we can do it. That means the administrators can only do it, the sysadmin. So you have to contract the sysadmin or the help desk and let us know. Monday morning will be a help desk experience, but you need to have your list ready, first of all. And second is, you might have your list ready and you might take my help also, but when you're doing something, you suddenly discover कि नहीं मुझे अभी के अभी ये सॉफ्टवेयर चाहिए और मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है हेल्प डेस्क को कॉल करने का, या रात के 10 बज रहे हैं, I work at night and these people are working in the daytime. Of course, there's nobody in the Phyto cluster. In that case, there is one alternative way by which you can install software on the HPC also, even though you don't have any admin rights. You do that by doing local installations. Has anybody ever created a local environment or local installation without using root passwords? That is done by creating a little bubble around yourself. And that bubble is called the Conda or Mamba. And that is called an environment. So you create an environment around you like a little bubble. In that bubble, you can set up everything and work on it. But the moment you finish your work and switch off or log out, that bubble also disappears. So every time you log back in, you have to get that bubble sorted. So one thing is you get your little bubble and you solve things in that little bubble. Other is you tell us, we will get the whole thing fixed for you also. But it is very good to learn to work in environments. These environments, which we call virtual environments, are something I hope to teach you during the fact of this particular course. No questions in the chat box till now. If anybody has questions, please stop me, raise your hand or put it, post it, or somehow let me know that you have questions. The third difference between an HPC and a local computer is that you have, of course, parallel computing. What do we mean by parallel computing? Right now on your machines, whatever you're doing or whatever experience you have had in the past also is serial computing. But does anybody have any experience of parallel computing? So I would say all of you are very, very much used to doing parallel computing, but you don't know it. For example, जब आप Gmail भी use करते हो, what are you expecting? कि Gmail आपका सामने खुल रहा है और आप उसको check कर रहे हो. So gazillion people are using Gmail. The servers are all in parallel somewhere. So when you send a password and the machine knows that you are logging in, तुम्हारे पीछे का जितना भी emails हैं, अलग अलग तुम्हारे inbox हैं, outbox हैं, send है, all of this is running in, the results are coming to you in real time, and the Gmail works so fast and so perfectly. It's not because it's a single server sitting somewhere. It is a series of distributed parallel servers which you are accessing, and it is giving back things. So of course you're not computing, but all of you are used to doing a lot of work on parallel servers. If I ask the question, have you ever worked on a server at all? So leaving aside the Gmail that you have used, but you guys also have your own institute emails. We have our own institute, which is by chance for NII, for NIPGR, it is Gmail still. But for NII, I believe it is the NIC email. Even we have the NIC. There are also many other kinds of emails. So those are servers. Web servers are there, which are for each of our institutes. And email servers are there. So we have all been using servers, but some of you have been using smaller servers that are generated in your own lab, or some specific software that comes from a certain server that is sitting in your own lab. So even that is very much a unique thing with the HPC. It is definitely a server. Your PC runs analysis in series, but in the HPC, there is many cores available. And therefore, you need to really think about how you can parallelize your computations. And we will have a few examples that I want specially to use with all of you. I had a link to the course, and the link, there is a course, this whole course, first of all, is based on the HPC carpentry course. Did you all do the Shell Novus course of the HPC of the carpentry? The Shell Novus course we had sent for the shell scripting and for Unix, which was what उसी के basis पे हमने जो भी course कराया था वो था. But the actual course is online and it is free, and it will be a good thing if you practice it. And again, if you practice that one, then this is the other course, which is the high performance computing ka course. Ye wala, right? So in this case, there is the best thing about this course, and ye link we will send to you after the lecture today, so that over the weekend you all can read a little bit about it. Jo samajh mein nahi aayega, of course, you're more than welcome to come back and ask me Monday morning. We will continue this one with you. So many cores are available. You need to therefore think about how to parallelize your work. But also the big thing between an HPC and a local computer is that you have very specific nodes that do very specific things. So you may have specific different resource needs, and those resource needs are addressed by different kinds of partitions. We call them partitions, but we may also call them clusters. You might say NIPGR has actually, the Phyto cluster has multiple individual clusters. So within the Phyto cluster, do we have a Saurabh hai kya yahan pe? Renu, do we have a marker? Marker ka matlab what is pointer? Yes. Pointer अब नहीं है. स्क्रीन पे ही करेगा. ओके, इसमें मेरे पास तो है. हाँ, चल रहा है. ओके, थोड़ा सा डिलेड पे चल रहा है, बट एटलीस्ट इट इज देयर. सो ये जो बीज है, फॉर एग्जांपल, the NIPGR Phyto cluster has 6 portions or 6 subsections. This is the structure of the architecture of the unified environment. I will explain more to you on Monday morning कि इसमें से जो parallel computing के subsets हैं उसमें क्या क्या है, कैसे हर एक अलग से दूर है, एक दूसरे से अलग है. So, but mainly जो हमारे parallel computing mechanisms हैं, इसमें subclusters हैं, वो है Vriksha, Mool and Agni. Vriksha is the guy where we have very large numbers of CPUs and they are suited for multiple kinds of simulations and parallel computing. कई बार ये होता है आपको CPUs बहुत ज्यादा नहीं चाहिए होते, आपको थोड़ा सीरियल का काम करना है जो कि एक के बाद एक होगा, बट आपको बहुत हाई मेमोरी चाहिए. Particularly for plant scientists, we have plant genomes are huge, and these huge plant genomes need to be recorded in the memory of the computers. One plant with other plants, or the same plant with its some transcriptome of a different kind, and so on. And in that case, you need very high memory nodes. If you want very high memory nodes for genome assembly kind of things, then you need another, Vriksha is not the one for you, then Mool is the one for you, where we have a lot of deep memory nodes. And sometimes you need something that is super high fast for deep learning or AI. And for deep learning and AI, we prefer the GPU nodes. So GPU nodes, or nodes with GPU cards, are the ones where we have the PhytoFlame Agni. So PhytoFlame Agni that you see on the screen here is a GPU card wala node. Acha, you are not able to see my, great. And the Phyto Deep Mool is for deep learning, but it is something with a very good amount of high memory. Phyto Node Vriksha is your regular simulation. This is the one जिसपे हमारा सारा course चलेगा. So Phyto Node Vriksha is what we are going to show you access to. If you're able to work on Phyto Node, very good. The initial opening of the HPC is only going to be for the Vriksha. And so all of you will be using it together, and then we will see किस तरह के limits किस पे पड़ते हैं, and then we will open the Mool or the Agni or other things as based on your requirement. Okay. These three are our computing, like compute running servers. इसके अलावा we have Phyto Vault, the Beej storage, which is 4.2 petabytes for NIPGR, but we are very happy to, this is a national facility, so we are very happy to provide it to other institutions. I know we have NIS students here. Don't feel that this is all only NIPGR. We call it the NIPGR Phyto cluster, but it is a national facility. So it is meant to be for everybody, and I'm very glad that you guys are taking this course. पता नहीं use तुम करोगे कि नहीं? हाँ? Okay, very good. So if there's a message, we can take a look at the message also. ना मैसेज तो हम नहीं देख सकते, कैसे देखें चैट बॉक्स में क्या मैसेज है? इस पे नहीं चलेगा ना? देखो, नो चांस, नो। तो मैं अपने वाली स्क्रीन से ही देखती हूँ कैसे आई कैन access the chat, or one of you has to see the question and say the question to me. I won't have to read it myself, okay? Because मुझे अभी भी chat दिख नहीं रहा है कहीं पे भी. कहाँ है chat? Expand the window, okay? Nope. I still can't see the chat. So one of you has to read the chat and say the, switch on your mic and read the question out. किसी और को क्वेश्चन दिख रहा है जो चैट बॉक्स में है, या आंसर है या कमेंट है या क्या है? Oh, oh, which means they can't hear us?
Yes, you're on mute.
Jeet, can you hear me?
Ma'am, you are audible.
और अब डबल. अब जीत, कैन यू हियर मी? सौरभ यहाँ पे नहीं है, सौरभ नीचे से सुन रहा है ना? तो फिर जीत, you should be able to hear me. Mustafa, are you able to hear me? Janvi, can you just type a yes or no if you can hear any of us? Okay, Bhavnesh says I'm audible. Thank you, Bhavnesh. So in case, please put a message in case you are not able to hear me, but I can see that Nitish and everybody can hear me. So Jeet, there is some issue with you. So it seems that I will remain I will remain muted on the screen that I've got in my hand, because बाकी room का जो connection है वो चल रहा है ना. So if you can hear me, that is good, but please feel free to put a message if you are not able to hear me. So I'm going to go right back to the slide that I was on. So we can close the chats, Mandeep, and sorry to bother you. तुम्हें अब वहीं पे अपना computer लेके बैठना पड़ेगा, because कुछ पता नहीं कब क्या crisis हो जाए. So one of you has to be my permanent help, isn't it? That's what PhD students are for. So we go on. अब क्या हुआ? Are we okay to go on? Okay. My priority today is the people in the room. Yeah, so I'm going to be a bit biased, whether anybody likes it or not, because these guys can listen to me and they all have, you have your post-its also. अगर post-it यहाँ ऊपर चिपकाई तो मैं रुक के पूछूंगी क्या चल रहा है. अगर ऊपर नहीं चिपकाई तो मतलब सब कुछ ठीक है. और जब क्वेश्चन आएगा टेस्ट में तो जवाब देना पड़ेगा. तो इसलिए please feel free to stop me and ask. But right now we have the Mool, Vriksha and Agni. In addition, we have the Beej, which is the storage. And we have the cloud, which is the synchronized cloud. And that cloud is not for computing. It is just for saving your data. कि hostel में कुछ file सुबह सुबह कुछ बना ली, lab में आता ही उसको WhatsApp कर रहे हो या email कर रहे हो, वो करने की जरूरत नहीं. Sync हो जाना चाहिए आपके cloud पे directly. So that is the NIPGR cloud. And the sixth bit is the Phytolearn Abhyas. And the Phytolearn Abhyas is the portal that all of you have been given the access to. I hope the NII students have also got access to it now. There is something, yeah. Should I switch on this mic? ये तो mic on है पहले से ही. So Jajo, can you hear us? No, ये तो chat नहीं है. तुम जो देख रहे हो वो chat नहीं है. छोड़ दो, कोई बात नहीं. This is not. I think the chat box is the one you need to keep a tab on. Just on कर दो chat box को side में छोटा सा. So that way we can have it here. So Jajo, I think you should just rejoin and then maybe it will be audible. We are also recording this session, so don't worry about missing anything. And you can get the recordings for this one later. So the last bit that is the most important about the HPC and the local computer understanding, you have to wrap your head around the differences between these two devices, because आप करोगे तो अपने ही लैपटॉप पे ही काम करोगे, लेकिन आप remotely HPC पे होगे. That is why you need to understand the differences. Reliability, redundancy, maintenance and safety are all much better with the HPC because we have a very resilient setup. The whole system is professionally maintained. It is much better than using your own server, and it also saves you the maintenance costs. However, please remember, you should not use the HPC as your storage कि अपना data dump करे जा रहे हो, हर assembly का data वहाँ पे dump हो रहा है कि मुझे अपने lab में तो ले जाना नहीं जब भी use करना है. And I feel ये बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स के साथ ये है, क्योंकि आप डेटा फर्स्ट टाइम यू आर वर्किंग विद डेटा, somehow you have the feeling that if I delete something I will lose something very important, and this makes you collect so much junk that it is of no consequence. So therefore it is very important that you remove data from the HPC. This is not a storage, but we have given you a storage called the PhytoVault Beach. Again and again you can, if you feel very much inclined, just push all the data, चाहे वो junk हो चाहे ना हो, आप उसको अपने बीज स्टोरेज में रखो, और उसके बाद जब आपके सुपरवाइजर आपको बोलेंगे कि भाई ये तो भर डाला तुमने तो और कुछ मिलता, तब शायद कुछ समझ में आएगा, मेरे बोलने से नहीं समझ में आएगा. So please don't keep it on the HPC, keep it on the bead storage. Although now the cost of running is a very important issue. A lot of people feel that because it's a big cluster, is it costing much more? Of course it is costing much more, but in the long run the cost of your computer and the HPC cannot be compared, because the fact that the HPC is more expensive, it is eventually cheaper compared to buying your own high compute server. आप अपने आप तो वो high compute काम अपने laptop पे नहीं कर सकते. And if you want to do the high compute work that we are going to be training you in, then you cannot expect to spend that kind of money. And if everybody did spend that kind of money, that would be much more than the amount spent by one institute or one DBT system to have the HPC. And this is not even counting the system administration. There is so much administration related to the HPC that we are handling for you. So that saves you the whole cost of effort and energy, right? And lastly, because the HPC is sharing resources in an efficient way, in a smart way, therefore, and also because it is kept in very clear server rooms. I don't know, those of you who are NIPGR know the data center is downstairs on the ground floor, but those who are from outside, I encourage you today to come down and see our data center. That is a dedicated corridor of the institute. That is just the data center. We have 3 data centers there, and the servers and the HPC are sitting there. Others don't go there all the time. And these are very clearly contained rooms where the costs of running the analysis are overall therefore much lesser, and therefore the carbon footprint that we have is much lower from using an HPC as compared to using the servers in each of our labs, each of our individuals, each of our partitions in the lab, and so on. So therefore I encourage, once we have the Phyto cluster, once you all have the access and the passwords to the HPCs, अपने lab के workstations और servers को discontinue करिए, and encourage your labs also to not buy more servers and more things, and to use this guy only. This is a very good cluster. Or agar kisi din, even though I believe it is not possible, someday you feel that the cluster is not enough for you, then we have the IDBDC ka Faridabad wala cluster, which is also a national facility, which is 3 times our size and is also freely available to all scientists, particularly DBT, because we are all DBT, right? We are all brick. So therefore, within the brick family, you absolutely need to buy nothing more once you have got your head wrapped around what to do with these clusters, how to use this cluster, and so on. So, okay, we have a few more words on parallel computing, which is one of the main features of an high performance computing cluster. Many bioinformatics software can do very neat parallel computing. So they can take advantage of many CPUs that you have on these systems. And the number of CPUs usually is much larger. Your machine will have multiple, even if you've taken an i7 Intel kind of core, you will have some CPUs on your machine, but workstations and servers usually have 30 CPUs, 70 CPUs, or HPCs maybe begin with something like 1,000 CPUs, 700 CPUs. So your CPUs are so many that it completely cannot compare with an in-house or lab workstation server. Neither can it compare with a desktop computer. Okay. So what else is it that you can do with the parallel computing is that you can accelerate the run. You can use the multiple CPU cores for calculating. And these multiple CPU cores are also very important because in standard desktops or laptops, even in smartphones, you have multiple CPU cores sometimes. But clusters will have, as I told you already, going on to 700, 800, and so on. हाँ, प्लीज राम मुझे लाके दे दो, मेरा वाला मेरे टेबल पे रखा मिलेगा तुमको. हाँ, बोर्ड रूम में प्लीज. Thank you. The second thing you do is you run multiple tasks. एक तो पहला टास्क ही अपना आप एक्सेलरेट कर रहे हैं through multiple CPUs. सेकेंड इज अगर आपके पास मल्टीपल टास्क हैं, एक ही दिन में आपको बहुत सारे टास्क रन करने, तो वो सारे के सारे आप पैरेलल रन कर सकते हो. इट अलाउज यू टू रन सैंपल्स थ्रू एन एनालिसिस पाइपलाइन. Without an HPC, you would need multiple desktops or some form of distributed computing. So what has been happening in the lab is I give a work to one student, she breaks it up, she gives it to two of her friends side वाले computers पे. फिर आप कभी-कभी call करते हो NII में, like Mohanty calls me कि अब तू यहाँ से ये चला ले. तो हम लोग distribute आपस में करते रहते हैं एक दूसरे को काम दे के. But if you have an HPC and if you are correctly using the HPC, then you don't need to do any of that at all. The third thing is you can also run one task on many computers. अब तक मैं ये बता रही हूँ आप multiple tasks run कर सकते हैं, multiple CPUs use कर सकते हैं. But what about running a single task that you have that you can run, you can parallelize it not just across the CPUs, but also across nodes and therefore computers. And this is usually achieved by MPI programming, which also is something that only the HPC clusters have. So perhaps the main advantage, as it is clearly written over here, is that on an HPC, you can process multiple samples in parallel on different nodes. And this is where using a local server simply cannot have any competition at all with the HPC. There are some distributed solutions. Now, has anybody used any distributed solution घर पे? जैसे for example, ये क्या है? ET, extraterrestrial life को अगर आपने ढूंढना है, तो there's a global NASA के through, there is some parallel crowdsourced computer that allows you to log into that and you become part of the whole parallel cluster in which your machine becomes part of the whole distributed system. Then your machine, if you log into that, becomes SETI at home. Similarly, there's something called folding at home, in which we try to, structural biologists have tried to give the folding job to across many. But these generally are very specific projects. एक में folding कर रहे हो, एक में ET को ढूंढ रहे हो. But अगर आपको अपना काम usually करना है, तो that is not very, very easy. Now, I'll give you an example. Think about yourself as a statistics student. And you're a student who wants to cross-validate a model. आपको एक model कहीं आपने किसी paper में पढ़ा, and your supervisor says इसको cross-validate करके दे दो. Now, cross-validating a model. ये कब मिला कब आया? नहीं, ये मेरे पास नहीं रहेगा. इसकी photocopy करके PDF करके मुझे email करना है और मेरी बातें उनको देनी है. So, this student wants to cross-validate a model. This involves running the model. Cross validation कैसे होता है? जैसे phylogenetics में भी हम कहते हैं कि एक branch को cross validate करके दो कि ये branch बन रहा है कि नहीं इन species का. You have to iterate it multiple times. कितनी बार run करना होगा? 1000 times minimum. So if you want to do a 1000 time iteration of a certain model, and that single model itself takes you an hour, minimum an hour. Usually अगर large genome scale phylogenetics आप कर रहे हो, तो it takes multiple hours for one run. And that is why when my student couple of years ago, I had a PhD student who had to do 1000 because the reviewer said do 1000 iteration. At that time, we did not have the HPC. And then I told him कि कर लो 1000 times, लगा के चले जाओ, रात को लगा के चले जाओ. He said कि एक run करने के लिए मुझे 3 दिन लगे थे. So if I have to do 1000, then तो ये PhD का viva होने का दिख नहीं रहा in the foreseeable future. At that time, we did not have the parallel computing cluster. If we had the parallel computing cluster, what he would have done or she would have done would be to run, obviously running it on a laptop or a workstation or a server would have taken months and months. But that's because आप serial में run कर रहे हो. आप laptop पे, workstation पे जब इनको run कर रहे हो, तो आप serial में run कर रहे हो. 1000 iteration, the first iteration, then the second, then the third, then the 900th. But is it necessary to do the 1000 एक के बाद एक? Think yourself. 1000 iterations run करने हैं. इनका आपस में कोई connection नहीं है. Ultimately, 1000 का result आपने just cluster बनाना है कि all the 1000 give you this branch of the species branching phylogenetics. So if you show that not just in my phylogenetics run, in 1000 other runs, this branch of this species every time comes with this other species. Therefore, it makes sense, right? So that is why the 1000 are not connected. Then why should we run them in serial? कि एक खत्म होगा तभी दूसरा शुरू होगा. All of them should be run together. But for you to run all of them together on your laptop means एक साथ 1100 या 1000 windows खोलो, हर एक पे एक साथ run करो. That also will take a lot of time. And then while running on your laptop, you don't have the resources to run 1000 times. So therefore, you need a parallel cluster. Okay. And so since each of the 1000 runs is independent of all others, given enough computers, theoretically, it is possible to run on 1000 different computers, just one run. And even then you don't have to chipkao the initial input parameters 1000 times, because you do it once and the program itself spreads it or distributes it over 1000 computers or 1000 nodes or 1000 cores, and you get to run your software. Does that make sense to everyone? Why parallelizing is important in this scenario where you had a question which was completely serial. So कोई जरूरत ही नहीं थी उसको serial में चलाने की, तो हमने पूरा ही breakup कर दिया. Now think of a दूसरा case. You are an NIPGR student. You are doing genomics over here. or even if you are at NII, you are doing metagenomics or doing some kind of genomic analysis. So you are a genomic researcher who has been using a lot of data sets till now, whether they are gut microbiome data sets, or whether they are soil microbiome data sets, or whether they are leaf transcriptome data sets, or seed data sets, genomics. So you've been doing a lot of sequence analysis with these genomic data sets, but soon your supervisor has told you that I'm going to give you more data. Ab wheat ka data aa raha hai, because the wheat consortium has brought all this, and wheat is a hexaploid, right? Not even a tetra or this poly. So for the hexaploid, you have at least in one go 6 times more data, but overall more than 10 times the data that you currently are used to using. You're using a workstation, you're using a good server, already you're able to, you've got some pipelines, 10 times other data jaise aa jayega. So what you will need to analyze these larger data sets are going to crash your current computing scope, right? Entirely. So therefore, in this research problem, what you are required to do is the calculations that you need, you are not sure कि उनको पैरेललाइज कर सकते हैं कि नहीं, बिकॉज जब डेटा 10 टाइम्स आ रहा है लेकिन वो डेटा अपने आप में भी तो बहुत बड़ा है, तो वो सीरियल मीनिंग you can't really break the genome up into pieces. The whole genome may have to be compared with something else or itself, in which case you need to put the whole genome in the memory. So what you need is a computer with much higher memory than the one you have till now. And therefore, that would be required to analyze the much larger future data set that your supervisor says he's going to give you. So here is a case where you wanted to distribute a job over 1,000 computers, you parallelized it. Another case, you wanted to use a cluster where you have more memory. So you've not parallelized it. You've actually put it on a high memory kind of, or parallelized on a high memory machine. There is now a third situation. Let's say you're an engineer, and the engineer is using, or you're a researcher only, and you're doing fluid dynamics, and you've got a package that I've already given you कि ये fluid dynamics का package है, इसको run करो, लेकिन ये package आपको parallel में run करना है. So for this option, ये जो program है जो आपको किसी ने दिया, आपके collaborator ने, उन्होंने कहा कि ये तो कभी desktop पे use हुआ ही नहीं है, और आपको अभी 2D simulations and you're a structure biologist, so you have to do 3D simulations also. 2D simulation fluid dynamics के बड़े simple है, simple तो नहीं है, but you basically see where the fluid is moving, and you also see the X and Y coordinates. But the moment you have to do 3D, it means you're bringing X, Y, and Z coordinates also. And in going for 2D to 3D, the simulation time is not the same as it was originally. It is now 3 times more than 3 times, even though there are पहले 2 थे आपके X और Y, अब तीसरा dimension आ गया है, but the combinations are more than 3 times. So your time has more than tripled, and therefore it would be useful for you to take the advantage of a feature that you might have in parallelization. In this research problem, the calculations of each region of the simulation, suppose एक fluid है या एक molecule है, एक protein है, उसका एक part में जो simulation हो रहा है, it doesn't have to be connected to the second part of that molecule. Active site में कुछ simulation चल रहा है, periphery पे कुछ simulation चल रहा है, या let us say, hinge पे कुछ और simulation चल रहा है. So you don't have to parallelize it in the sense कि पूरा का पूरा run parallelize करो, आप उसके individual bits में उसको break up कर सकते हो, और इधर का parallelize, इधर का run इधर चला सकते हो, चाहे serial में हो, इधर का run, active site का run हर जगह का individually चला सकते हो. So then it is possible to therefore run each region, the calculations of each region simultaneously in 3D in parallel as you need, and repeat those calculations as many times as you want for the iterations to be the number that you want, right? So in moving from a 2D to a 3D model, both the amount of data and the amount of calculation, ये दोनों चीज आपका बहुत 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 बढ़ जाएगा. And therefore, you would be theoretically in a position to distribute the calculation over multiple computers communicating over a shared network. In all of these cases, it's very important that you all learn how to use a high performance computing cluster. The main topology now, up ho gaya. We have the HPC. Yes, please. The last slide. Let's go to the last slide.
Separating the task for different regions, like you said. So is it a multiple task or a single task on different computers?
Are you talking about one of the 3 options on the scale, or just a general question?
Multiple tasks on different computers. One task on different computers. So in this category, we will put the single task, one task. Like one task on many computers.
No, one task on many nodes. So what I'm saying is, usually you have how do we begin? Let's look at the iteration in which you had to use the 1,000 iterations of phylogenetics, right? So you had to run 5,000 trees. For the 1,000 trees, now what do you consider each tree is one task, right? That is one phylogenetic task which any student is doing. आप अपने philo switch में जो करते हैं तो एक phylogenetics का run होता है. तो अगर आपको 1,000 times run करना है iteration तो आपको उसको one task नहीं मानोगे, उसको 1,000 tasks मान लोगे, right? That you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
So those 1,000 tasks, they can run on 1,000 different computers. They could be nodes, but suppose इनमें से एक इकलौता run है. That run itself is not enough. That is such a heavy run, such a detailed run that it cannot run on each computer. So you need to take that single task and distribute it over 10 computers or 10 nodes. That is the bit, that is the last bit. And that is not a bit that will automatically come to you or to the slum or to the HPC. For that, you need open MPI programming. In which case you have to know कि मेरा जो single task है वो भी इतना बड़ा है और इतना complex है. So for example, your usual genomics tasks will not be such. They will be run because अब तक भी आप लोग genomics के बहुत सारे काम workstations और servers पे करते आए हो, but it will only make it faster and you can scale it up to so many more organisms now than you could earlier. But give me an example of one task which is so huge that it cannot be run on one computer, however high the memory might be or the CPU might be. Such a task, for example, I've just returned from CERN in Geneva, and by God, the fact that you are recreating the universe underground daily and particles are colliding. So what they do is they use enormous solenoid magnets under the ground in tunnels, and they put protons into that. They release protons and make it vacuum for no other kind of thing. So protons will be traveling, and these protons keep traveling faster and faster in circles. And the proton will itself never go in a circle. A magnet is required and the electromagnetic field is required to take it. Proton is positive. A negative field will attract it. So they have to constantly have negative fields all along the length of this 27-kilometer Large Hadron Collider. And there are 4 on the entire collider, which is the largest in the world, underground in Geneva. You have 4 detectors, har 9 kilometer pe. And these detectors like ALICE, ACLUS, CMS, the one who discovered the God particle, the Higgs boson, what is happening is these protons will not hit each other. They just keep moving faster and faster. But to make them move faster, you need an electromagnetic field. And the field has to change so much that in 1 second, the field has to change 490 million times. For that to happen, the proton will then make changes of its direction 490 million times. When it does it, शुरू में तो धीरे घूमता है. जब तक 490 million achieve नहीं होता, 490 million achieve होते ही, it hits the target and then it collides. And that collision is something that will give you stuff. So it's not like 2 strawberries coming and giving you masala of the strawberry. The 2 strawberries will collide at that speed and give you mangoes and orchards and gold and God knows what, because this is quantum and this is not regular physics. But at that moment, when all of this is happening, the data that is collected from one comes in petabytes, and it is detected by these four what do you call them, detectors. So ALICE, CMS, इन पे जो ये डेटा 1 सेकंड में इन पे आ रहा है, अगर एक दिन में YouTube पे जितने भी वीडियोस आपके अगर आप उसको कंपेयर करोगे, that is 1 second of data in the Large Hadron Collider coming on one of the detectors. Now that data, 99% is junk. How do you know it is junk? You have to run a program to look at that data per second and reject 99% of it so that the 1% important particles that were generated in that collision are recorded. And that task, iklauta 1 second ka, I would consider is a task which is a big task. You might give me another example from your genomics also, but abhi मैं CERN से आ रही हूँ तो मैं वो example आपको दे सकती हूँ, because it is crazy enormous and it is a routine task. It is not कि इसमें आपने कुछ rocket science कर लिया, because 99% junk हटाने के लिए भी the calculations have to be run to detect everything and reject till you find the remaining 1% bit that might be interesting. And that task can never be run on one computer. So they have the CERN has a distributed system of computers all over the globe, including in India, where the data regularly comes, people analyze it. And so that is an example of, to answer your question, एक काम और 1000, मतलब 1 घंटा मैंने इसमें example देने में ही लगा दिया. But please feel free to, does that answer your question? So that is the meaning of एक task or multiple nodes और multiple tasks और multiple nodes. Multiple tasks को multiple node पे करना आसान है because उसमें एक task एक node पे जाएगा. एक node के multiple cores पे जा सकता है, लेकिन multiple nodes पे नहीं जाता. Multiple nodes पे अगर भेजना है तो open NPI चाहिए. Does that help you? Okay, any more questions? All right. The topology of the HPC is such that, okay, how does the HPC look like? एक तो नीचे जाके देख लेना कैसा दिखता है, इसी तरह का दिखता है. एक फोटो हम भी खींच के कई बार लगाते हैं, but this is just a small bit of it. It is just any other server with lots of different slots for putting your additional servers. So there are three parts to the HPC. This you have to go to and remember. Pehla is the login node. Dusra is the job scheduler. Tisra is the compute node. The compute nodes could be called the production nodes. The login nodes are called the login nodes only. And the job scheduler can sometimes be called the queue manager. I've put this picture here and I've written these three parts in three things in three different colors so that you remember. Now, each of the blue boxes on the top, in fact, each of the boxes in this picture at all is a computer or a node. The login nodes, I've shown 4 or 5 different ones. आप जब login करेंगे to the HPC, you will always land because आपने login करा है तो आप कहाँ पे land करेंगे? सीधे login node पे land करेंगे. But the login node is not your world. You will remotely log in and go into the login node. The login node is how you access the HPC. It is not the HPC, it is just how you access the HPC. The HPC is behind that, which you don't see. What you see is only the login node. You will never see the other two. I mean, there are exceptions, there are ways, but you will never generally see the other two. Now, when you're on the login node and you start to think about a task and assign that task, the task is going to be given to the production nodes or the compute nodes. That is where the real run will take. आज आपके कंप्यूटर पे अभी जो आपने रन किया / कुछ भी चलाया वो स्क्रिप्ट चल गया, लेकिन HPC पे / आप लॉगिन नोड पे नहीं चला सकते. / आपने चलाना है, स्क्रिप्ट लिख सकते हो लॉगिन नोड पे, बट आपको चलाना है उसको कंप्यूट नोड्स पे. और ये चलाना है कंप्यूट नोड्स पे. आई कैन स्पीक इन हिंदी और इंग्लिश दैट यू हैव टू रन इट ऑन द कंप्यूट नोड्स, बट यू आर नॉट द गाय टू रन इट ऑन द कंप्यूट नोड. हु विल रन इट? You will give the job to a queue manager or a job scheduler, and the job scheduler will give the job to the compute nodes. The compute nodes may be free, may be busy, so the scheduler will know who is free, who is not busy, and they will push this guy in. So for example, I ask one of the administrative help in the institute for our interviews. We always make the administrator stand outside, and inside is the interview happening. When the interview is over, the administrator outside sends the other student in. The other student will not be sent. The next applicant will never be sent inside till the applicant inside is already there. So think of a job scheduler or a queue manager as somebody who manages. बाहर एक queue है लंबा सा, लेकिन सब लोग एक साथ अंदर नहीं आ रहे हैं. अंदर वही आ रहे हैं जितना जगह है, right? So you have so what are the three parts of an HPC? There is the login node where you land, which you see. Then there is the job scheduler who you don't see, but this is the most important bit in an HPC, and you need to learn about that in this course. So that is why we are doing this course. So you will learn more about it. And then what does the job scheduler do? It distributes your job over the compute nodes, the production nodes. और इनमें से सबसे ज्यादा quantity किसका सबसे ज्यादा है? जिसका मैंने draw कर रखा है. Obviously, the compute nodes are largest in number, and each of the compute nodes has many cores, and all of them are there for, this is where the actual computation happens. And so all of the runs will happen in the compute nodes. Are these three things clear to everybody? Because these are the basic part of a HPC. इसके बाहर कुछ नहीं है HPC में. यही 3 चीजें हैं. और यही 3 आपने समझने हैं कि ये 3 होंगे, मैं एक पे लैंड करूंगा, बाकी दोनों मेरे को नहीं दिखेंगे, but काम उन पे होगा. So if you have a question now about these 3, ask me. Otherwise, I will go on and explain to you a little bit more about the login node only. We are still continuing with the topology of the HPC. The login node where you access the HPC is also where you interact with the HPC. And this is where you view all the files upon login. You edit your scripts here, you create new, you install your software over here also. Actually, you don't install software. We will give you installed software, pre-installed software, but you don't run heavy analysis on the login, never. Because login वो landing space है. सोचो स्विमिंग पूल में आप जंप कर रहे हो, जब लैंडिंग जहां पे होता है, जहां से आपको डाइव करना है, वहां पे 10 लोग लैंड कर रहे हैं एक के बाद एक, अगर आप वहीं पे खड़े रह गए तो सबके सब आ जाएंगे, तो बहुत भारी होगा, गिर पड़ेगा, टूट जाएगा. We have had this. So login node पे if you make it heavy, if you start doing the runs on the login node, you will completely destabilize it. It will break and then nobody else can use. आप तो use नहीं कर सकते, बाकी भी कोई नहीं use कर सकता, और हमें पूरा reconfigure करना पड़ेगा. So please remember that the login node, also please note the picture that I've put right next to the login node. What does it mean? You can see it, you can interact with it, but you cannot run. So please don't use the login node for run. You can use it for view, you can use it for edits, you can use it for interacting, you can use it to see कितने लोग काम कर रहे हैं, क्या क्या कर रहे हैं, मेरे पास जगह मिलेगी कि नहीं, वो भी Slurm job scheduler decide करेगा, लेकिन आप देख सकते हो, right? So that is the login node. Now there is the backend program, which is the queue manager, which you are seeing in red color. And उसके सामने pictures में क्या है? Eyes पे close. That means you cannot see the scheduler. Can you run on the scheduler? No, you cannot run, you cannot see. But what can you do? The only thing you can do on the scheduler is a handshake. That means connecting to the production nodes. So the program, the job scheduler or a queue manager is therefore a program that runs on all the nodes together. All the nodes meaning including the login node. It will also run on all the computing nodes. It helps to negotiate with the compute nodes. And this guy is the most important guy standing at the door who decides which job will run on which compute node. So you have many compute nodes. You might say, "Mujhe number 1 hi chahiye." The job scheduler has to decide that. You cannot specify. Okay. So the job scheduler will decide which job runs on which compute node. Now, lastly comes your production nodes. Production nodes ke saath kya hai? What is the picture? First, you look at the picture. That means you still cannot see it. You don't go to the compute node. You don't see them. You can only see the login jahan pe aapne land kara hai. But you can run here. This is the only place that you can run code or slides or tasks. The production nodes are where everything actually runs. You cannot see what's happening in the production nodes directly. Is that clear to everybody? One more time, just to have a clarity, there are 3 parts to an HPC: the login, the scheduler, and the production. The login is where you land, you can see but not run. The scheduler is the handshake with the actual compute strength of the HPC. You cannot see, you cannot run, you can only perform a handshake. The production is the compute nodes, you cannot see, but you can run. So how many parts of the HPC are there which you can run on? One, Konsa? Computer. How many parts of the HPC are there which you can, how many parts of the HPC are there which you can see? Only one. Which one? Good. Hello? I'm taking the high performance computing class with your students also and ours also. Yeah. Everything okay with that? Why? Everything okay with the IIT, Delhi? You need me to do some? Chalo, theek hai. I'll continue with this and finish it. Hopefully by 5. Hopefully by 5 we'll be over. Okay, bye. No worries. Okay, bye. How many parts of the HPC are there which are required to interact with the rest of the machine? Wrong, 2 हैं. Interaction आप login पे भी करते हो, आप इसीलिए interact कर रहे हो. Handshake एक जगह लिखा हुआ है, but that doesn't mean you cannot interact. The login is for you to interact with, right? And the job scheduler is which automatically handshakes the whole machine. So great. Now compare with your current machine जिस पे आप अभी हो. So the whole shared file system of the 3-part HPC, login node, scheduler, and compute nodes, compare it with your current one where all the handshake, all the seeing, all the running, everything happens in one place only, right? So here you can see how the HPC topology is slightly different, or I would say very different from that of a single computer or a single workstation or a single server, where you are editing scripts, managing everything yourself, running things wahi ke wahi, and the analysis also is happening on the same computer. So on the HPC, the 3 bits of running things, scheduling things, and deciding things are happening in different layers. And this separation of tasks allows a flexibility in the parallel computing where resources are shared with others. Okay, so once again, to re-emphasize, 3 parts to an HPC: the login, the scheduler, and the production. Very important for you to know ki what part is for you to see and what part is for you to not see and what part is to run and not to run. This is the most important thing. बाकी सब अपने आप ही सीख जाओगे, but ये basic rule है. अगर login node पे run करना शुरू कर दिया तो crash. We have crashed our HPC previously. That is why I'm saying that this is something students do by without realizing, because on your own computer you're used to running the script right there, / chalaya aur chalna shuru kar diya, and you are already in a Unix environment, you know it's a great computer and it's a great HPC, you put a / and you start running, but you're on the login node. That login node does not have the power that the computes have, and so therefore you cannot do a / on the login node. और ये इसीलिए बार बार कह रही हूँ क्योंकि आप करोगे ये गलती और फिर हमें पता भी चल जाएगा और फिर हम आपको याद दिलाएंगे, फोन करेंगे, तंग करेंगे, कुछ करेंगे, बट इट विल कम विद प्रैक्टिस. तो प्लीज जस्ट ड्रिल इट इन योर हेड अगेन एंड अगेन. यू कांट डू for optimizing performance, you cannot run on the login node. So the login node has got to be, we call it ethical globally. It's not me calling it ethical, but the ethical use of an HPC is that you don't use the login for computation. That is the only most important ethics of using an HPC. Does that make sense? Okay. So the first thing with the login node is you never log into it like you're logging to ChatGPT or to Gmail. You don't do it through a graphical user interface. You only log into it remotely. Now, why do you only log into it remotely? Because that is a safety structure that has been put into it. You don't get to go into the room and log into that cluster also. You can only log into it remotely, sitting here, sitting at home, sitting at NII, or sitting in your labs, or sitting in your hostel, anywhere. But only remote login is allowed. Okay, and remote login only happens through SSH. So there is no GUI to accessing a login node of an HPC. Second, file transfer. File transfer कैसे करते हो? Can somebody tell me what are your usual file transfer methods? So how many of you know the SCP? Not all of you, but some of you have done the SCP. There are other ways of file transfer also. Has anybody used anything else like FileZilla, maybe, to transfer machines or files from one lab, from your lab, one machine to another machine? So we prefer, FileZilla is also allowed, but we prefer the remote secure transfer or secure copy, which is called the SCP. But you could also do the file transfer protocol, which is secure, which is SFTP. So you can do SFTP or SCP so that the files from your computer can be transferred to the HPC. Now, this is why we have given you all training logins on the Abhyas portal, because all of you have a data set. Remember last time we downloaded some data और आपने कुछ खुद भी बनाया था. All of that data now, on Monday morning, I will make you transfer some of this data to the HPC. कि आप इसको transfer करो, but transfer कैसे करोगे? Only through a secure copying mechanism. So we will teach you how to do the secure copy on Monday morning, but please know that the transferring of files in and out of the HPC will only happen through these secure methods, no other method. And you have to also learn, there are also ways from directly getting from the internet. You could use, has anybody used curl or wget? If you have used curl or wget, then that is a very good way of directly, you don't have to secure transfer अपने machine पे. A lot of people say कि ठीक है मैं पहले अपने computer पे download कर लेता हूँ और फिर files को HPC पे ट्रांसफर करेंगे. ऐसा करने की जरूरत नहीं है. अगर आपका wget से पब्लिकली एक्सेसिबल URL पे कहीं डेटा रखा है तो आप उसको डायरेक्टली wget से अपने HPC पे ही डाउनलोड कर लो. फिर आप अपने कंप्यूटर पे मत इकट्ठा करो डबल बैकअप डबल कॉपी, उसका नो नीड. ओके. The other thing is at NIPGR we have the phytovault storage also. So the storage itself has all the labs which we have given to all the labs here. You all have your data in the storage already. So if you have data on the storage and the storage is mounted on the HPC, then you are seeing your storage on the HPC directly. And if you're seeing the storage on the HPC directly, yeah, Tapas, ready hai? आ जाए हम ऊपर ही. ओके, वेरी गुड. आज मैंने बोला ये था कि बहुत सारे लोगों को मैं बहुत बोर करूंगी, सो जाएंगे बच्चे, तो चाय पिला देना. आई थिंक दे हैव अग्रीड टू गिव अस सम चाय. सो व्हाट वी विल डू, especially for online students, we'll take a little break over here while we all just go outside, step out for 5 minutes or 7 and have some tea and come right back. कितनी देर में वापस आ सकते हैं? 7 minutes में वापस आते हैं. Okay, so we'll take a little break and come back in 7 minutes. And सौरभ, अगर आप लोग भी नीचे हैं तो हम आ रहे हैं. क्या ऊपर ही है? Oh good. सौरभ आप भी आ जाओ ऊपर तो हम सब एक साथ we can have some tea. Thank you, Tapas. इसको मैं बंद कर दूं अभी के लिए कि ऐसे ही छोड़ दें? व्हाट इज द सजेशन? रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है, बाद में you'll have to switch it out of the recording. Okay. यस यस, पक्का, अगर अगर वो अवेलेबल है और मैं बात कर सकती हूँ तो। Oh man. Okay, we are back from the break, and we are just on this page talking about the optimizing performance on a login node. Everything is written on the screen. For those of you who haven't heard me, you can read exactly what is there. But the most important thing is that you have to use the login node or the HPC ethically. That means the login node is only for logging and access, but not running of scripts. On the NIPGR FITO cluster, certain tasks that take extra memory, if you really run them on the login, they'll get killed. But many tasks don't need that much memory, and you might think, chalo, let me run it. That's not a good idea. Don't do it, please. And your lab, if we catch you, you'll have to you'll get debarred entirely. Not just you, everybody in your lab. So there's a dark side and there's a light side. Anybody seen Star Wars? So there are darker and lighter sides to the login node, which you have to remember. The other picture that I want you to get in your mind very nicely is optimizing performance through the queue manager. All of you know that the second bit of an HPC is the queue manager. The thing about a queue manager is, think of the queue manager as the guy at the door, at the manager or customer management head at a diner. If you go for eating dinner somewhere, there's always a manager at the door. He'll ask you kitne log hain, kahan baithna hai, kitne baje aana hai. Then he'll tell you आधा घंटा लगेगा, 2 घंटे लगेंगे. And the moment he sees that you are 10 people, he'll never give you a seat immediately. But if it's just you and your friend 2 people, then he'll say कि ठीक है आ जाओ मेरे साथ, and I'll let you. So what does that mean? If you have a small task and you have few requirements, small resource requirement, you might get an easy quick scheduling. But if you come and say कि मुझे अभी 40 GB चाहिए इसी वक्त और मुझे 59 CPUs चाहिए, so the scheduler will say कि बैठो अब थोड़ी देर के लिए, sit and lay eggs. So the queue manager or a job scheduler is the software which through which you submit your scripts to run on the HPC. Think of it as this dining table guy, the guy in blue color. He's the queue manager. You are in the queue. You might be 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, or 10 people, or just one guy. If you are just one guy, he can immediately put you on a free chair on any of the other tables. Now that is where the dining and scheduling is different. जब आप diner पे जाते हो और अकेले हो तो आपको किसी और group में अगर बिठा दें कि इनके साथ बैठ के खाना खा लो, तो you might not like it. But being a job, you can be assigned on a single available core on a node, even though other nodes are busy and already there, right? Otherwise, if a group comes and says, I want 6 seats and we are 6 computers, 6 nodes, the job requires, a compute node with 6 cores, then that entire idle compute node with 6 cores can be given to you. Let's say the other side, it is already reserved. It's a compute core with 4 nodes and it is a reserved compute core. In the lower side, you can see that there are people meaning jobs, which is users like yourself. The users are already using each of the cores on each of the nodes in these computers. All the 4 cores on the first table are currently, one of them is idle, 2 are busy, 1 is allocated to somebody. So that is a 4-core computer. The next one is a 6-core computer. Upstairs is a 6-core computer, which is completely idle and it can be given. And the scheduler will think carefully. अगर आपको सिर्फ एक ही seat चाहिए, तो he will not put you on the 6-core computer. The scheduler will put you on the single remaining one. That is why the scheduler is important. आप खुद होते तो आप जाके सबसे खाली जगह में बैठ जाते, which I also always do. I go to the सबसे ज़्यादा खाली जगह in a room and take it for myself. But the scheduler does it more efficiently, more smartly, and more, I would call it efficiently. So if somebody arrives on their own, then the waiter can put them on a free seat on any free table, which otherwise you would not be very happy during dinner, but it can happen in the queue manager. And the more CPUs that you need, the longer you may have to wait. So this is something you have to think about. Also about a queue manager, don't forget the fact that I told you that in practice, what does a queue manager look like? We are using a Slurm queue manager. There are so many other queue managers in the world, but we are using the Slurm queue manager. Has anybody used any other queue manager till now? I'm assuming in the room, at least the people who I've talked to today, you guys have not used any parallel computing at all. So for you, the first queue manager that you're dealing with will be Slurm, and you will learn. It is the most common queue manager in the world also. But some places, some other computers have other kinds of queue managers. In case somebody has used that, please let me know. So I can probably tell you the differences between Slurm and your queue manager. As of now, on a single computer environment, suppose you have to run Bowtie. Anybody knows what is Bowtie? Some of you who have done genomics know what is Bowtie. Bowtie is when you have when you shotgun a genome, cut it into small reads, NGS से भर के zillions of reads आ गए और एक reference genome है. ये सारे reads को उस reference genome पे चिपकाना है. That is the job, that is the time to the genome job that the Bowtie does. Bowtie 2 is the software. Very good, very good, very good. So that's good to know. On Monday morning, we'll show you the differences between Slurm and these. But have you used Slurm? Jajo se pucho ek baar, and also Jeet, if you guys have used Slurm. If you have not used Slurm, then I'm going to share a cheat sheet on the Slurm today only, so that some of you will get some idea about what to do about it. Okay? You have used PBS also, so you've done some parallel computing. Where are you from? I didn't meet you earlier. Which lab? You're in Naveen's lab. Arey wah. What are you doing there? PhD. My God, कितने सालों से? हाँ. And when did you do parallel computing? Where did you do parallel? Yeah, you didn't do it here, obviously, because we didn't have it. Okay. Oh, very nice. You're using the IBDC, which I was just telling these guys you can use. So you just fill a form and you can use the IBDC. So that is also a very nice mechanism to make use of. But now you have the NIPGR cluster and you have the Slurm job scheduler. And if you used any job scheduler, you'll be able to convert to that. So now, for example, on a single computer, which is like yours, you're using an interactive terminal and you're using the Bowtie. So Bowtie is your program. To run Bowtie, you need some parameters. I showed you last time, every command needs some parameters, arguments. Those arguments may have values, those arguments may not have values. So Bowtie requires you to have a reference genome. It needs you to have the reads. The reads are, in this case, how many reads are there? 2 reads, read 1 and read 2. But in reality, zillions of reads might be there, right? So in this case, you have a reference genome and some reads, and you're aligning those reads to the reference genome. And so you need the software called Bowtie. Bowtie will do it for you. You don't have to do it. But in HPC, using a scheduler, you first make a request to the HPC to say that I have a mapping job. The mapping job is the first line of code. That means the mapping.sh is a script which contains your original task, which you otherwise do, which is Bowtie. So Bowtie doesn't go to the Slurm, to the HPC as Bowtie. It first gets wrapped into this little thing called a script, which you have been taught in the Unix course, right? Everybody knows what is a script. And a script file usually ends in the extension sh, right? So because it's a shell script, sh for shell generally. So the script in which you put the line of code that you actually want to run, which is Bowtie ref and reference and reads 1, 2, 3, goes into mapping.sh. Now mapping.sh gets submitted to the HPC, and the command to submit a job to the HPC is called, every command to submit a job on the Slurm is starting with an S. So this command is called sbatch. Sbatch means submit as a batch. Submit as a batch एक ही काम हो सकता है, 10 हो सकते हैं, 1000 हो सकते हैं, जो भी mapping.sh में लिखा होगा सब हो सकता है. So submit as a batch, sbatch, with a certain resource request. मतलब मुझे इतना CPU, इतना time, इतना कुछ भी. We will talk about what is the resource request, but you have to submit the job with sbatch and then the resource and then your script, whatever is in the script. And then the scheduler will decide कि उसका क्या करना है. अब scheduler में चल पड़ा, but you want to see कि कहाँ है मेरा queue में, कहाँ है, मुझे मिला seat कि नहीं मिला, कि भारी खड़े रखा है. How do you check the queue? You simply check the queue by the simple command sq. S is for Slurm, Q is for queue. So SQUEUE, which is written over here, is SQ, which is another command that you will submit to check कि मेरा वाला job कहाँ गया. तो आपका job क्या था, उसका नाम बताओ. Mapping था. बहुत सारे jobs होंगे वहां पे जो मैं आपसे टेस्ट करवाऊंगी Monday को. You will look at it yourself and see what are the jobs. But right now the job is mapping. And so mapping as a job, is it in the queue or is it been given and it is running? What do you think? It is running or it is in the queue? It is running. If it's running, it should have a job ID. Does it have? What is the job ID? Okay. And how much time has it been running for? 2 ही सेकंड, क्योंकि इमीडिएटली अगले को बहुत जरूरत हो गई पता करने की भाई क्या हुआ, मेरा क्यू में पड़ा है कि बाहर पड़ा है कि कहाँ पे है. ठीक है, तो वो रन हो रहा है. और कितने नोड्स इस वक्त यूज हो रहे हैं उसमें? इकलौता. एंड व्हाट इज दैट नोड? इज इट अ लो मेमोरी नोड और अ हाई मेमोरी नोड? हाई मेम. हाउ डिड द Slurm decide that ये हाई मेमोरी नोड पे जाएगा? बिकॉज जो आपने रिसोर्स रिक्वेस्ट में कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन डाला था जो हम सीखेंगे, उसमें आपने हाई मेमोरी बता दिया है and it is going over there. Okay, so what you need to do is to spend time thinking about your resource requests. You need to reduce the time and number of CPU cores if you can, which means you have to backfill. कम से कम टाइम में काम कराना है. मॉनिटर करना है आपने अपना प्रोडक्शन भी, अपना नोड यूजेज भी, और आपने जितने भी टाइम एंड सीपीयू के रिस्ट्रिक्शंस हैं उनको फॉलो करना है. So here is the example, compare a job on the PC with the HPC. I think basically it's just written over here that you run a bowtie command, which is a very common command. On the HPC, you need to wrap up this command into a shell script and then submit the script to the program batch, not batch, S batch. And then you give a set of requests to the CPU, and those requests I will show you soon. The scheduler will then put your job in a queue and decide when and where the jobs will run depending upon the resources. It is useful to learn how the queue manager works so that you can submit the jobs faster. Asking for less resource is better. If you need more resource, then your job might sit in the queue for a long time. Knowing which nodes or partitions are most in use can help you submit the jobs to a more suitable partition. ये है example. आपका job, अरे कहाँ गया example? Okay, this is the example. Your job is that one. You know, you might have 3 pipelines running from the beginning to end in one job. One green color is your job. You have to do it 3 times. So you have 3 jobs basically, or one job which has to be run 3 iterations. Assume kar lo iterations ho raha hai. If you are yourself, you were running it, you would run the first green, the second green, the third green, or run all the greens in something. But if you give it to Slurm, Slurm will take each job and separate it into stages and make the 3 jobs actually 9 jobs. Do you see? And then the same, you have the same space. तुम्हारे पास computer में कितनी जगह है वो ऊपर white वाला. That is all the space you have. And the नीचे वाला जो green space है, that is the space, that is your job. So job, now you have to take the green bit and fit it into the white bit. How will you do it? पहला green ऊपर चला जाएगा, नीचे वाला green भी उसके साथ चला जाएगा, और तीसरा वाला green second line में जाएगा, second row में जाएगा. But if you spread it into 9 jobs, which you yourself cannot do, but which Slurm can do, how will this go? Let us see. Do you see how it gets fitted? So what has happened? The way you would have thought that a machine or the pipeline is given as a single job in the first case is leaving that much space unused, whereas in the second case, it is using more efficiently because both of the cores are being used much more. In the upper case, one core is totally full, the other core is half empty, or in a single node, let us say. But in the second case, which Slurm did by breaking your job into little stages, you have been able to use both the cores much more efficiently, up to 75% each. Does everybody get that? What is happening? This you did not do. The machine has done it. The scheduler has done it. What has the scheduler done? It took your code, which was the normal code only, which you would have done, but you just covered it up in a shell script. And then you said S batch. That means I'm submitting it as a batch job, and I need some CPUs and some cores and some memory. Once you tell that, the Slurm scheduler will do the rest for you, and it will do it efficiently, it will do it smartly, it will do it ethically, and whatever else. Okay. So that's the compute done. That's the login node done. That is the queue manager sorted. And the last one is the computer production nodes. Production nodes की क्या feature है सबसे important? वो ये है कि can you see it or not? The production node. You cannot see it. But can you run it? You can run it, absolutely. So there are different types of compute nodes that are accessible via partitions or queues. And in general computing, जो आप हमेशा से करते आए हो, वो general nodes भी हैं इसी के अंदर, जिसमें कि आप ऐसा interactive Slurm करके, you can start using the HPC like a normal computer also. In which case you will be using those for doing your regular jobs, which is like having a good horsepower and running jobs. Then comes the other kinds of nodes that we have in PhytoDeep Mool and PhytoNode Ricksha, where we have high CPUs in Ricksha and high memory in Mool. These are suitable for memory intensive tasks as well as highly parallelizable tasks, and the tasks get done with a lot of speed. So they have a far more speedy, faster completion and very high parallelization that is possible in the green colored high memory and high CPU nodes, right? And then finally comes the GPU nodes, where we have the PhytoFlame Agni at NIPGR, and here we have 4 GPU cards with A100. On Monday, I will show you the complete break up an architecture of all the different parts of the phytocluster, so you can decide which one you want to use. But of course, we are going to give you the Vriksha for the course, and we will expect you to use the Vriksha first. If any of you wants to use something else, you can come to me and we can see how you want to carry on to Mool or to Agni later. So these are, the GPU is a total next level altogether. And it can basically do your MD simulations and deep learning much better. Our GPU is currently already engaged with the MD simulation. So structure work, if you want to do on a GPU, you can run here, but you can also run, NII also has a very good Discovery Studio system on a GPU. So programs that can use these units for their analysis are part of this. So that is the compute nodes for us. So overall, the HPC file system looks like, as I told you, it has the 3 bits. But the file system, okay, the file system is a different bit. Anybody knows any file system of the HPC? आपने जिस पे काम किया वो पहले Lustre पे किया हुआ है कि PBS पे किया या GPFS पे करा है? PBS पे करा है. तो यहाँ पे हमारा, मतलब we have all of them, but Vriksha पे it is the Lustre system, in which, and in most others also, the file systems, all of them have a home and a scratch. So you have some idea about the home and scratch? Very good. So let me tell others also that when you log in from the terminal, which is your terminal, which is your Phyto portal, Phyto Abhyas portal terminal, you will log in with an SSH and you will go into jahan likha hai participant@training bio. That is a general login mechanism to HPC. For NIPGR, can somebody tell me what it will be? It will be your lab @vriksha.nipgr.hpc. जैसे अभी training.nipgr.hpc, इसी तरह से vriksha.nipgr.hpc, agni.nipgr.hpc or mool.nipgr.hpc. But your login or your lab name or your whatever username is there. And then you land straight away into the first bit, which is the login. Then you have the scheduler, then you have the compute nodes. Login पे आप login करते हो और फिर नीचे compute nodes पे भी computers हैं, ऊपर login node तो अपने आप में computer है. This is whole thing is a shared file system, and the shared file system is accessible to you through 2 mechanisms. One is the home, जहाँ पे आप land कर रहे हो सीधा, and another is a scratch space. So these are 2 spaces which you need to know. Both you can see. One is the home, one is the scratch. Both of these can be seen from the login node, and both of these can access the compute nodes, which otherwise you cannot see. But the main difference between home and scratch is something you need to understand. Home is a small space. You can do backup over there. It is slow. That is why login node मैंने कहा है कि उसी पे ज़्यादा रन मत करना, वो slow चलेगा. But scratch space is larger. It is faster. Only downside of the scratch is it does not do a backup. यानी अपना काम करो और आगे चलते बनो. ये नहीं कि वहाँ इकट्ठा करके अब जिंदगी भर वहीं पे बैठ गए और settle हो गए. ये नहीं हो सकता. And that is why the HPC का whole idea is to get a user or a student or a participant or a researcher or a scholar to think about cleaning the ambience where you're working. So have a clean strategy. You come in, get your work done, move on. And this mechanism will also teach you in future how to use AWS and other paid options. Paid options में क्या होता है कि आप अगर कुछ भी data file छोड़ देते हो, machine को भी on छोड़ देते हो, तो you are paying on that on a second by second basis. But getting used to the HPC and working on it properly, learning how to smartly and efficiently use it will make you very much capable of using paid options later in life. So home and scratch क्या है? There are 2 folders हैं. एक है home जहाँ पे आप सीधा land कर रहे हो, जो छोटा है, backup है, software और general scripts के लिए use होता है. दूसरा है scratch, जो बहुत सारा data वहाँ पे, we have given you some quotas, we've given you a lot of space. It is not backed up. It is used as a working directory for the runs. And you must ensure regular backup from there. तो home से कुछ run नहीं करना है, scratch से run करना है, but ये दोनों आपको login पे access मिलेगा. Okay? Scratch कहाँ पे है? आपका scratch. This is the normal HPC file system. The NIPGR HPC file system, I think, I don't know if I have it here or I'll show it to you next week. Currently, it is like everybody has a home directory. It is a small directory. You should never use this for data processing because it is very slow to read write. The scratch directory is where you will do all the data processing and running. And so depending on the specific kind of HPC you are using, we are using the Lustre file system, and we will not back up the scratch. We will delete the scratch every 60 days. So 60 days तक आप फिर भी छोड़ सकते हो, but ये risk मत लेना, generally निकाल लेना चाहिए. और एक बार delete हो गया तो ये नहीं हो सकता कि come and talk to Saurabh or me or somebody and make a request. Nothing will bring it back. Okay. So check the purge time. Our purge time at NIPGR is 60 days. I don't know how much is the purge time at IBDC. 30 and 45 होता है usually, but हम 60 से start कर रहे हैं. वो तो रिमाइंडर्स आते ही रहेंगे, वो तो भेजने से कुछ फायदा नहीं होता। रिमाइंडर्स मत सोचो कि कोई रिमाइंडर पड़ेगा अभी, बट ये जब ऑटो पर्ज होगा तो उसके बाद याद रहता है सबको, ठीक है। सो दैट इज द HPC फाइल सिस्टम। आई एम सो ग्लैड एटलीस्ट समबडी इज हियर हु हैज यूज्ड इट, सो आई एम वेरी वेरी ग्लैड टू सी यू. So final message that I have for today is please use the HPC ethically. Do not use the login node for production time. You will use only the production Slurm ke through give jobs and production on the production nodes. Also use the HPC smartly, optimize your jobs, create software specific submission scripts, reduce the number of CPU cores, check the production node usage. कैसे check करना है वो सब मैं सिखा दूंगी. We'll do a course wise system. Use the HPC efficiently, run your multiple samples in parallel, build up dependency chains, which we will learn next time. So we will have some dependency chains, which we will learn. What do I mean by a dependency chain is sometimes you have task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4 to be run in series and you are running them in parallel. So task 1 तो कभी भी run हो जाएगा, लेकिन task 2 तभी run होगा जब task 1 run हो चुका हो. या maybe task 1 and 2 can run anytime, but task 3 requires task 2 to be done. And task 4 requires task 1 to be done. So that is a dependency. And that dependency has to be stitched into your bubble that I told you, the wrap script, the wrapper script, such that the machine or the HPC knows कि task 4 0 से नहीं चल सकता de novo. Task 4 तभी चलेगा जब 1 or 2 complete हो चुके हो. So that dependency is something we will do together on Monday morning by creating dependency chains. Okay, very good. We've come to the end of this one and we have a little exercise. All of you will take 5 minutes to do the Google form, and then you will submit the Google form, and then we'll address the questions one by one. You don't have to know the answers, but if you know the answers, very good. So let us take 5 minutes to answer this quiz. How do I share the quiz link? इसको chat box में डाल रखा है हमने, लेकिन जो लोग सब लोग इस रूम में उनको तो chat box नहीं मिल सकता. Oh, there is a QR code or a Google or something? Oh, you can just pass it along and you guys can follow this quiz. Once you've done the quiz, I will see the answers and we will discuss them together. Okay? Sheikh, thank you so much. You have put it in the chat box. For those of us who are on the chat box, I mean, on the online mechanism. Okay, has everybody got the Google form? If anybody is not able to access the form or you're not able to fill it for whatever reason, you call us and we will help you. But I'm hoping that we will be able to see all of your answers at the end. Don't worry about the scores because इसमें scoring कुछ उल्टा पुल्टा, just submit कर दो और बाद में answers एक साथ देख लेंगे. So can you see my screen? I've put the first question up here. A PhD student wants to know, 5 minutes wait करते हैं, उसके बाद consider करेंगे. We don't have to do it. अब आप आराम से take in fact अभी 38 हुआ है ना, 45 तक let's do the questions. Think about each question slowly, answer it slowly, no rush. Summary for the question, yeah. Where is the question 1? ये आवाज क्यों ऐसे घूम रही मेरी? Oh, good, good, good. Very good. No, not very good. This is very bad. Hold on. Okay, okay. Let's take this slowly. It's not very bad. Only 2 of you got the option B, but a lot of you got the option C. Can we understand why this option was chosen? I have tried to put some explanation into each one. Does everybody understand why the answer was option B? Let's see. Let's go for it together. कहाँ गया? ये question है. A PhD student wants to process a microscopy data using a Python script developed by your colleague who is a postdoc in your lab, right? And you have instructions to how to install the Python packages and also the actual Python script to process all the images. ठीक है, so अब आपके पास क्या है? आपके पास packages है, software है सारा, और आपके पास script भी है उस software को run करने का, and you have the data is images, right? So, which of the following describes the best practice for student to organize their software? अब ये 3 options का photo गायब है यहाँ पे, नहीं तो मैं आपको दिखाती और बात करती, तो ये इसमें मिलेगा, question पे मिल जाएगा, I suppose है view options. See, many of you gave option C as the right answer, but option C में, क्या पता C right? Let me think. Option C में home पे ही software भी है, data भी है, scripts पे भी है. मैंने क्या बताया था? लॉगिन नोड जो होम पे आप आते हो, लॉगिन नोड से आप सीधे होम पे जब आते हो तो होम पे बहुत सारी चीजें रख नहीं सकते, सॉफ्टवेयर रख सकते हैं, बट बाकी सब चीज आपको मूव कर देना चाहिए स्क्रैच पे. सो ये ऑप्शन सी है जिसमें आपने लिखा है सॉफ्टवेयर भी, डेटा भी और स्क्रिप्ट्स भी मैं होम पे रखूंगा, ये गलत है. बिकॉज आपने क्या करना चाहिए था? और ऑप्शन बी, फिर सम ऑफ यू सेड ऑप्शन ए आल्सो. ऑप्शन ए में स्क्रैच पे सब कुछ रखा है. स्क्रैच में अगर सब कुछ रख दोगे तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, डेटा बहुत है वहां, लेकिन सबसे बड़ी बीमारी क्या है स्क्रैच की? कल को वो डिलीट हो जाएगा और पर्ज हो जाएगा तुम्हारे बिना, तुमसे बिना पूछे. इन दैट केस तो डेटा गया तो गया, वो तो मैं अगर मेरे पास तो मैं, यार ये क्या हो रहा है? इन लोग को सुन रहा है कि नहीं बेचारे जो ऑनलाइन बैठे हैं? आई एम फीलिंग सो बैड फॉर देम. ये लोग बस बीच बीच में कुछ स्पर्ट सुन रहे हैं मेरी आवाज की. आर यू गाइस एबल टू हियर अस विदाउट disturbation? हाँ, okay. So did you hear the fact that option C क्यों गलत है? ऑप्शन सी इसलिए गलत है क्योंकि आपने होम पे डेटा और स्क्रिप्ट्स को रखा. डेटा और स्क्रिप्ट्स को होम पे क्यों नहीं रखना चाहिए? बिकॉज होम को ज्यादा यूज नहीं करना है, सिवाय सिर्फ सॉफ्टवेयर को रखने के लिए. सॉफ्टवेयर रख सकते हो, छोटे छोटे काम कर सकते हो, पर डेटा और स्क्रिप्ट होम पे रख दोगे तो वो रन भी कर दोगे किसी दिन, और रन कर दिया तो वो तो होम पे रन हो गया, विच इज बैड. स्क्रैच में रख के चलाना है, और स्क्रैच में, लेकिन स्क्रैच में सॉफ्टवेयर नहीं रखना चाहिए. रख सकते हो, डिलीट हो जाएगा अगर तुम्हें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है तो ठीक है, but it is not the best practice. So what is the best practice? It is option B, where you keep all your software in the home area where it is fully backed up. You will always have access to it. If your juniors come after you, they will also have access to home. Nothing is going anywhere. But the data and the scripts can go into Scratch, बिकॉज वहां से वो, और स्क्रैच में भी आप कॉपी करके ही ले जाते हो जनरली अपने स्टोरेज, जो मेन स्टोरेज है बीज, वहां से, वो होम पे नहीं है, मेन स्टोरेज से कॉपी करके डेटा और स्क्रिप्ट्स को वहां से रखते हो. तो दैट इज वन. सो व्हाट आई वुड से इज, क्योंकि आप में से बहुत लोगों ने ऑप्शन सी जवाब दिया, इट इज नॉट अ टोटली रॉन्ग आंसर. यू कैन कीप इट देयर, बट दैट इज नॉट बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस. आप ये कह सकते हो कि मैंने होम पे रख तो लिया, बट बाद में आई विल मूव इट टू स्क्रैच, राइट? इवन देन इट इज द राइट आंसर. सो वेरी गुड, गुड दैट मेनी ऑफ यू हैड सी एंड बी, बट A is also not wrong, except that वहां से जब delete हो जाएगा सब तो आप बहुत दुखी हो जाओगे. That is why A is not recommended. Okay. Some of you gave the answer as the fourth one also, none of these. आपका कोई चौथा आंसर था जो आप डिस्कस करना चाहते हो तो please, I'm right here. If anybody felt that there is a fourth thing that you could do, please tell me now, because even I don't know the answers to everything. So if you have an answer which you think could be a better deal to keep the packages, the software packages, the image data and the actual data and the analysis script, I want to know. Okay. Second question, let us go to the summary. Summary is better to see. Second question ka, we have, it turns out that the microscopy data was very large, and the whole microscopy data was given to you by your postdoc colleague as a zip file. So the postdoc basically told you कि आप इसको unzip करके ना. टाइम हो गया 5 बज रहे हैं तो दैट इज द वे ऑफ द कॉस्मिक कोलाइडिंग पार्टिकल्स टू टेल मी दैट इट्स टाइम टू लेट यू गो आई नो आई गेट द मैसेज बट ये एक्सरसाइज तो करना पड़ेगा भाई सो microscopy data was very large it was compressed as a zip file and the postdoc said कि इसको unzip करके देख लेना आराम से so should you run the unzip command from the login node or should you run the unzip command from the compute node that was the question so let's see the answers यहीं पे थे आंसर्स कोई और बोल रहा है मेरी जगह मैं नहीं बोल रही समरी कहाँ गया ये समरी तो है कहाँ से मिलता है इसमें सेकंड का आंसर यार क्लिक कर लूं उसको ओके सो समरी आंसर दे वर 2 करेक्ट वंस बट व्हाट यू गाइस सेड वाज कि हम इसको सबमिट कर सकते हैं एज वन ऑफ द कंप्यूट नोड्स वेरी फ्यू ऑफ यू सेड कि लॉगिन व्हिच इज अ गुड थिंग कि मैंने इतनी बार तुमको ड्रिल किया तो तुम लॉगिन नोड को टच ही नहीं करोगे लेकिन ऐसा सच नहीं है आप लॉगिन नोड को टच कर सकते हैं देख सकते हैं छू सकते हैं उसके ऊपर बस आपने उसमें गाड़ी नहीं चलानी है इतना ही याद रखना है आपको ठीक है so there are two things here the analysis script that was used by the student generates so you can submit it as a job to the compute node which is not bad but ये सिर्फ एक unzipping का टास्क है इसलिए आप उसको वहां से रन कर सकते थे तो देखिए तो ये ध्यान रखना है कौन से टास्क बहुत मेमोरी इंटेंसिव टाइप के होंगे कौन से टास्क इतने मेमोरी इंटेंसिव नहीं होंगे एक और तरीका है जो मैंने आपको बताया नहीं अब तक थर्ड वाला which was also right that some of you gave कि there is an option in Slurm NTR जिसमें आप इंटरैक्टिव स्लर्म कंप्यूट नोड को रिक्वेस्ट कर सकते हो और बिल्कुल अपने वर्क स्टेशन की तरह ट्रीट कर सकते हो वो हम आगे नेक्स्ट टाइम मंडे को देखेंगे सो दैट ऑप्शन इज देयर थैंक यू all right so this is your third question now let's go to the next question in which the question was the analysis script used by the student generates 2 versions of the this one has 1 TB data raw and processed the other has no you've generated 1 TB of data in your work but your group has got 5 TB तो भाई बहुत फ्री है मैं तो पूरा यूज कर सकता हूँ so आपने डिसाइड किया अभी तो 5 TB पड़ा ये तो सिर्फ 1 है so why not keep it in the scratch only until my project is finished so इसका जवाब सबने बिल्कुल सही दिया है So do you agree with this choice? Many of you, 60% of you said कि नहीं भाई ये गलत बात है. But there is somebody who is not sure. Oh, who is that who is not sure? ये course आपको जिसने भी not sure करा ना, I request you to look at the course link and read the course. आज रेनू से request मैं करती हूँ रेनू course का link सबको भेज देना. तो Monday तक एक बार course run कर लेंगे तो you will not feel so bad about being not sure. Some of you said कि ये बिल्कुल ठीक है मेरे पास 5 TB है तो मैं नहीं भर सकता. वो आप इसलिए नहीं भर सकते कि इट इज नॉट बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस और आपको पता ही नहीं कब वो स्क्रैच में से डिलीट हो जाएगा पर्ज हो जाएगा और फिर आप सोच रहे हो फिर से करना पड़ेगा ओके क्वेश्चन 4 वाज why did you agree or not agree very nice तो यहाँ पे था because space should be free very good answer available space data accessibility and data security आपने सोचना है backup नहीं है वहां का very important if not they can because space is available if not they can take from the HPC ये गलत आंसर है भाई space is not available even though it is available and we are willing to give it to you it is not for using for every free space that you have every extra data that you have storage type and backup student has itself enough storage so storing HPC is not good yeah that is good data should be removed once process is complete very nice the data at large for that no you need to work in scratch has no backup this is the correct absolutely correct answer brilliant and you might need the files in between for reanalysis इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि वहीं चिपका के बिठाए रखो yes कभी भी जरूरत पड़ सकती है फिर भी उसको बैकअप में रख लो उसको स्क्रैच में मत छोड़ो okay yeah this I don't understand why you're not sure so now I hope you are sure Mr. Unsure or Miss Unsure I hope you are sure now free space is available on the HPC yes but that does not mean that when you have 1 TB of data collected you just leave it there in the free space because you alone are not the user in your lab we are giving user lab IDs right so your lab may have 4 or 5 different students using the data so even though there is 5 TB and you have 1 TB raw data generated and you feel abhi to 4 TB bacha hua hai you should still leave it free for other students in your own lab to join right because this is your lab quota not just your quota very good take backup and free the space bilkul theek demand command hai ye all right next question was a workflow has 2 tasks and you have a first task so now basically you have 2 tasks in your single workflow the task 1 is a 1 hour job but the task 2 is a 5 hour job how will you submit this will you submit this as a single job or will you submit it as 2 jobs? Okay, the right answer was that because there are 2 parts to the question, you should submit as 2 separate jobs, not as 1 job. और ये मैं expect नहीं करती कि आप सबको ये आंसर आना चाहिए था, because we had discussed कि कैसे उसको break up करते हैं और submit करते हैं, पर तब भी आपको ये idea था कि computer अपने आप submit कर देगा, आप कैसे करोगे? But no, the point is you have to know कि अगर मैं एक phylogenetics के switch का model testing कर रहा हूँ cross validation से 1000 iterations पे, तो आपको पता है वो 1000 jobs हैं, और 1000 जॉब्स हैं, तो आप उनको एक जॉब की तरह नहीं दे सकते. आपको उसको स्लर्म को बताना है कि ये 1000 जॉब्स हैं, तभी स्लर्म उसको आगे 1000 नोड्स को देगा. लेकिन आपको कहीं ना कहीं बताना पड़ेगा कि 2 टास्क हैं. सो यू हैव टू सबमिट इट एज 1000 जॉब्स और 2 जॉब्स और 3 जॉब्स और 5 जॉब्स. After submitting as 1000 jobs, Slurm can then decide कि मैं इनको 1000 nodes पे एक कोर पे डालूं कि 10 कोर्स पे डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करूं. That is its own problem. That's not your problem. But you have to give the number of jobs. And here you knew कि मेरे पास 2 टास्क हैं. That means you had to submit 2 tasks. Now 2 tasks में भी होता है, हम लोग हमेशा ये सोचते हैं कि मुझे 10 GB चाहिए, तो मैं क्यों ना 15 मांग लूं, थोड़ा फ्री बचेगा. But that is a very different, that is a good strategy. हमें भी जब यहाँ पे एक इक्विपमेंट लेना होता है 10 लाख का, तो हम 12 लाख लिख के देते हैं ताकि कुछ एक्स्ट्रा स्पेस है, क्योंकि जेम प्रोक्योरमेंट आते आते वो कॉस्ट बढ़ जाता है. बट HPC डज नॉट वर्क लाइक दैट. In HPC, if you need 40 GB, you ask for 40 GB. You don't ask for 45 GB. If you have 1 hour of time, you don't ask for 1 hour 10 minutes, because the work will get done by the high performance computer in that time, for that memory and for that number of CPU cores. And so therefore, the correct answer for this was 2 jobs, one with 1 CPU and 40 GB RAM jitna zarurat hai, and the second with 8 CPU and 1 GB RAM jitna zarurat hai. Not more, not less. So बाकी सारे answers को इसलिए score नहीं दिया गया इसमें. Next question was, you have again a workflow. एक 10 मिनट का ही काम है, छोटा सा task है, और दूसरा task 4 घंटे का है. तो should I do 2 tasks, 2 jobs, or should I just put 1 task? Now very often we feel कि 10 मिनट का काम है तो उसको दूसरे के साथ जुड़ा के साथ ही भेज देते हैं, भाई बहन को एक ही साथ मंदिर में डाल देते हैं और लंबी लाइन लगी हुई है. That is not the way to think about in HPC. Again, you have to submit the 10-minute job as a 10-minute job. It will finish in 10 minutes, and the other job for 4 hours will run in 4 hours. The reason you are submitting them separately is because one requires only 1 GB RAM. If you submit as a single task, that small job requiring only 1 GB RAM is going to use up somebody else's 40 GB RAM, which is not efficient, which is not smart. And therefore, you had to submit this as 2 jobs, one with 1 CPU and 1 gig RAM, the other as 8 CPUs and 40 gigs RAM. Okay. So isme none of you said 2 jobs with extra. I'm very happy to see that. A few of you said कि भाई single job में कर देते हैं और उसमें extra RAM और extra CPUs ठूस देंगे तो सब काम बन जाएगा. That is not correct. That is very bad, because you require only 1 gig. Why should you be asking for 45 gigs, है ना? And it doesn't work like that also कि मेरे job को अगर 1 gig और 40 gig चाहिए तो वो 45 gig पे cover हो जाएगा. No, वो 45 gig 1 gig के लिए use हो रहा है, आप ये सोचो. That is not what. पूरा 45 gig 40 gig के लिए भी use हो रहा है. So that is why you have to ask for 40 gigs and 1 gig separately. Oh my God, itne different views. Okay, you can use the login node to install and compile software. ये 1 पे भी null हो गया और 5 पे भी null हो गया. ये कैसे हो गया? So just raise hands. I want to know, do you all agree that login node को use कर सकते हैं installation and compilation के लिए? Yes. वो तो इतनी देर से मैं बता ही रही हूँ. So why did some of you disagree? अगर आप लॉगिन नोड पे नहीं इंस्टॉल करोगे तो कहाँ इंस्टॉल करोगे? स्क्रैच में करोगे. वहां पे इंस्टॉल करोगे तो हर बार स्क्रैच में इंस्टॉल करना पड़ेगा. सोचो, एक ही सॉफ्टवेयर को 10 बार क्यों इंस्टॉल करना है? एक ही बार इंस्टॉल करना चाहिए. माइक्रोसॉफ्ट वर्ड अगर आपने करना है, एक बार इंस्टॉल करते हो ना, तो आप बार बार नहीं करते. पर स्क्रैच इज अ स्पेस विच इज वाइप्ड आउट अगेन एंड अगेन, पर्ज्ड. स्क्रैच में अगर इंस्टॉल करने लग जाओगे तो फिर तो बार बार इंस्टॉल करना पड़ेगा. एंड देयरफॉर स्क्रैच को छोड़ के लॉगिन नोड जो है उस पे इंस्टॉलेशन होना चाहिए. कंप्यूट नोड्स पे तो इंस्टॉलेशन का मतलब ही नहीं है, क्योंकि आप कभी जाओगे ही नहीं वहां पे. कंप्यूट नोड्स में आप जाते ही नहीं हो. स्लर्म भी आप कभी टच ही नहीं करोगे. तो फिर द ओनली प्लेस यू कैन डू द इंस्टॉलेशन एंड कंपाइलिंग हैज टू हैपन ऑन द लॉगिन नोड ओनली. एंड लॉगिन नोड में भी होम और स्क्रैच 2 जगह है. होम पे करना चाहिए, स्क्रैच में नहीं करना चाहिए. बट होम और स्क्रैच दोनों लॉगिन नोड पे हैं. तो लॉगिन नोड पे तो ये नो लिखने का मुझे रीजन ही समझ नहीं आया. अगर आपने किसी ने लॉगिन नोड पे ये बोला, आई डिसएग्री दैट द लॉगिन नोड इज यूज्ड फॉर कंपाइलिंग और इंस्टॉलिंग सॉफ्टवेयर, फिर आप कहां सोच रहे हो, आप कहां इंस्टॉल करने वाले हो? आई वांट दिस आंसर फ्रॉम हुएवर गेव दिस एज अ नो आंसर, बिकॉज आई नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट यू आर थिंकिंग. डिड यू थिंक दैट कंप्यूट नोड पे इंस्टॉलेशन होता है, और डिड यू थिंक दैट स्लर्म इंस्टॉल करता है, या फिर कुछ और मैंने नहीं समझाया करेक्टली जो आपको समझ नहीं आया? So please let me know, and you can speak up also. Whoever put this answer as disagreement. I can use is there a way for me to find out, Renu, that who said disagreement? Then I can just directly ask. I can use the login node to install or compile the software. ये इसका disagree था सबसे पहले. Yes, disagree है ना. 1 का मतलब on a scale of 1 to 5, you're basically going from disagreeing to agreeing, is it? So if you want to use the login node to install and compile the software and you want to say no, then you will choose 1. Or if you want to say no, then you will choose 5. ये सबको confusion तो नहीं हो गया मेरे जैसे? What is the reason? Confusion हुआ है, I think that's what has happened. ठीक है, इसमें पता तो चल नहीं पा रहा किसने कौन सा जवाब दिया था, but अब यहाँ question है, I can use the login node to look at the documentation. इसमें सब लोग yes बोल रहे हैं, तो everybody has gone to agreement, which means all of you believe that the login node should be good to look at. Yes, it is good to look at. That is all you will do. बाकी इसको देख तो सकते ही नहीं हो, तो login node पे ही देख सकते हो. Very good. You can use the login node to run compression tools. Compression tools means decompressing and compressing. अगर बहुत बड़ा नहीं है तो run कर सकते हो, but बहुत बड़ा file अगर compression का है तो don't do it on the login. Okay, so that's a good one. Both sides have got some discrepancy, but that is acceptable depending on the situation. Suppose you accidentally delete a file from the scratch. You just come to the admin and हमसे बोलो भाई निकाल के ला दो, और हम आपको निकाल के कहीं से भी निकाल के ले आएंगे, मतलब जमीन के नीचे से भी निकाल के ले आएंगे, पाताल में से भी. Do you think that is possible? Scratch पाताल में भी नहीं मिलेगा, कहीं नहीं मिलेगा. एक बार गया तो पर्ज हो गया. ये प्लीज रिमेंबर. सो ये जवाब तो सबने, जिसको बाकी कुछ समझ में आया नहीं आया, तब भी आपको ये समझ में आ गया कि accident deletion cannot bring back a recovery of the scratch folder because it is gone from all of this universe. If one of the hard disks fails, you're going to lose your data. That is true. So basically the scratch is not a hard disk. The scratch is a temporary folder and it is constantly purged, but it is true that the scratch, if it breaks, you will lose your data. So you have to, what is the solution? Constantly scratch में result आते, result.out को भेजो वापस अपने home पे या फिर अपने external storage पे. External storage means बीज अगर NIPGR में हो, वरना आप जहाँ पे भी हो आपका external storage. Okay, very good. This completes the course. It's also 5 o'clock. I think what I will do is I hope there is a thank you slide for all of you, but if it isn't, there are some key points that there are login nodes, compute nodes, the job scheduler, and a file system, where the file system generally has a small home directory and a large scratch directory. And the scratch directory is where you do the data and analysis. The home is where you do some simple stuff, right? Also, another point in the exercise was that the CPU and RAM requirements have to be very carefully sorted. But none of you asked me the question कि तुम्हें कहाँ से ऊपर से magically पता चल जाएगा कि तुम्हारे job का कितना CPU और RAM है? कितने लोगों ने Bowtie use किया है? How much CPU and RAM does Bowtie use? Tell me. Do you know? And if you don't know, then how you didn't ask that question कि ऐसे कैसे तुम्हें task से पहले आसमान से कहीं से message आ जाएगा कि तुम्हारे task को इतना CPU चाहिए, क्योंकि resource request तो डालना पड़ेगा Slurm को. अब वो resource request कैसे पता चलता है? There is somebody who has used, you have used, how do you tell the resource request? How do you make that decision? Documentation. So there is always the first rule of thumb, which she has correctly said, is read the manual or read the documentation, because you're using a resource shared repository or a resource shared facility, which means you have to know कितना जरूरत है. But sometimes documentation में शायद ना भी लिखा हो. अगर documentation में नहीं लिखा है तो आप छोटा सा test job run कर सकते हो with minimum RAM and CPU. अगर नहीं चला तो उसको थोड़ा थोड़ा बढ़ा के, yes, तो आप default values use कर सकते हो. Good. Otherwise आप कुछ जैसे SACT and SEFF, ये Slurm के कुछ additional commands है जो हम आपको next time सिखाएंगे. Slurm efficiency. Efficiency मतलब मेरे job को run करने के लिए कितना allocations चाहिए था, तो अपनी allocations को improve कर सकते हो आप. Also आपके sometimes seniors lab में होंगे, किसी ने Bowtie पहले से चलाया हुआ है और उनका job ID था 1064. अब job ID निकालना सबको आता है ना? जॉब आईडी निकालने के लिए एक कमांड है जिससे आपको पता चल जाएगी. उस जॉब आईडी का आप पूछ सकते हो उसमें कितना सीपीयू और कितना टाइम लगा. अगर अगले के आपके सीनियर के काम में इतना जॉब आईडी लगा है, उस जॉब आईडी में इतना रिसोर्स एलोकेशन लगा है, तो आप उतना ही मांग लो. Something like that. Okay, so you should always start conservative. Don't try to start with a little bit adjustment. स्क्रैच स्पेस आपका टेम्पररी है, वो हाई परफॉर्मेंस है, बहुत अच्छे रन होंगे, वहां से सीधा स्लर्म पे जाके कंप्यूट नोड्स पे रन होंगे, लेकिन इट इज डिजाइन फॉर फास्ट रीड राइट, इट इज नॉट बैक्ड अप, एंड देयरफॉर एनी डेटा व्हिच यू स्टोर ओनली ऑन द स्क्रैच इज द रिस्क ऑफ बीइंग लॉस्ट. बट वी वांट यू टू नो दिस कि लूज भी करोगे तो वापस तुम्हें रन करना पड़ेगा, अपने आप ही ढूंढ के लाना पड़ेगा वो डेटा, राइट? फिर से जनरेट करना पड़ेगा, ढूंढ के नहीं आएगा. So इसलिए please use Scratch for intermediate files, large data sets of files actively needed during computation. I think that's the bit that we have for today. Monday we will all meet at 9:30. I will come a little bit early also, 9:15 तक मैं आ जाऊंगी. अगर किसी को कुछ जरूरत है लॉगिन वगैरह के लिए तो please come. Monday morning we will have a longer schedule here, 9:30 to almost 12:30 at least, and it might spill over to lunch. So we will have tea in the morning at 11. Oh, Saurav, please can you stop recording this meeting, or maybe I can. Thank you. I'll stop sharing also. And do we know if recording is still good? Okay. No, leave meeting. No, this is something else. Saurav, maybe Mandeep, do you know how to stop recording?
Yes, ma'am.